Hi, guys. Happy Saturday. Welcome back to High Strangeness. Excuse my lateness, fashionably late as usual. No, actually, I have been better lately. Um, and sorry, I was scrambled. I was on the phone. So I hardly had a chance to fix my hair or anything. But it's one of those fun situations. I'm an extrovert. I like meeting people. And this was a lovely older Southern gentle lady. Is that what you would say in the South, gentle lady? Named Miss Aileen, and that's how she talks. And I was on a long haul Amtrak one year. One of those things I guess you got to experience at least once, but I don't know if I want to do that again. And I met this really nice old lady sitting next to me, and we've been friends ever since. So we had a nice conversation tonight. Hope you guys are all doing well. Thank you to anybody who caught the live stream with Corey Costa yesterday. That was a lot of fun. We have a lot of hostility for the American educational system, as you can tell. So it was nice to be able to speak about that. And it's cool that, for the most part, people in the chat were on the same page. Life is not an echo chamber. I know that, but sometimes it's nice to just to just vibe. I know that sounds a little new agey. I don't like that word vibe, but sometimes they vibe with other people who get it. So thanks guys for being there. I got a bunch of new subs, a bunch of new follows. So thank you to everybody who subbed and who followed. Welcome to anybody who might be new. So High Strangeness. It's kind of all over the place. Sometimes I got a top, for anybody new, those of you who are here, you know it. Sometimes I got a topic planned out. Sometimes I'm like, I don't. Let's just talk and see what happens. Sometimes as a guest. So it's a little bit of everything. Tonight is one of those nights where crazy week. I just finished up a 2-month class. And so a lot going on this week. So did not have a chance to really prep anything. But, I know you guys are good for just throwing ideas around. Had a few kind of little things here and there to talk about. And I'm like, let's see where the night goes. Sometimes those are some fun nights and goes in some really interesting directions that way. So let's see who is in the chat. And thank you to anybody who's watching the replay, and thank you to everyone who's in the live chat. And just a reminder, if you are watching in the replay, click that live chat button and see what's happening in the chat. It's usually interesting. Hex Glenn, we have Brian, we have Doug. You saw the live stream. Yeah, thank you for being there. It was so nice seeing so many people in the live chat. I wished I could have kind of bounced and interacted a bit, but my brain can't always do both at once. Insidious Tomas, Mr. Okel. So 8 people, 8 likes. Yes, thank you guys for anybody here who is liking. Send me those likes. Send me your comments too, so we can, mess with the YouTube algorithm a bit, because I don't think it likes me, even if it's just a little alien emoji, I would love that. And I don't mean in the live chat, I actually mean in the comments. So, if you don't mind that, I would love that. Toxic Hex Hog, you got out of your cage just to drop in for a like. Well, thank you so much. And I hope you lock that cage right back up behind you, because it is scary out there. So, lock yourself in so they can't come in and get you. Or is that just our New York minds thinking? Okay, but New York is not that bad. Okay, because bad for us is normal for some other cities, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a New York elitist here. YouTube, welcome back. Haven't seen you in a while. Oh, red. Yeah, red for Christmas. Red for, actually, you know what? It's really warm and it is freezing usually in here. I usually keep my little thermostat there so I can see, but I moved it out of the way to not be distracting and put it right here. It's actually warm in here today. It's 63. But yeah, I got some extra warmth going on, but thank you. Hope you all like the red and it's not too much. Hey, and it's Christmas anyway next week. So Mango Junkie, oi, oi. Mr. Oakley, you love a sweet Southern accent? Well, you got to hear Miss Aileen's Southern accent. She is like that Southern lady accent, and it's always so nice to listen to. YHVH, Robert, Ricky. I'm like, what do I call you? One social media, you're Robert. Another one, you're Ricky. I'm like, I'm confused here. No, but thank you for being back here tonight. Mr. Okel, did you miss a live? I think the Book of Enoch stream, because I know I didn't really announce it. I just went for it, and yeah, I will continue more. I thought I was going to get to do more of that type of stream this week. That's going to be like a more random stream. Maybe it'll be every Monday also, in addition to random days. I haven't decided. I thought I was going to get to do more this week, but this week got away from me. But next week we will definitely continue with the Book of Enoch. And this came in the mail. The Book of Enoch companion, Michael Heiser. So I am really excited to read this along with it, because it's a little different. And then you have like, so I was reading through with the R.H. Charles translation, and then R.H. Charles like has a bunch of annotations according to whether it's the Ethiopian documents and this and that, and it's kind of hard to sift through. My hair is a little insane and it's bothering me, but I'm gonna roll with it. But yeah, so I'm like, I think this will help me sift through, and this is kind of the type of research that Michael Heiser does. It makes me comfortable using him as my guide to sift through the Book of Enoch. So we will be using this in our journey too. So, in love with my mind. Oh, thank you. At least you're not scared of it, because sometimes I'm a little scared of it. Blasphemy. I don't know what's blasphemy, but I guess that's what happens when I get behind in the live chat. Look at this, making myself insane with all this the crazy. Okay, my crazy hair. We vibing, we bussin'. I don't know what bussin' means, but I think it's a good thing. The kids all use it. I know, right? I know. I'm young too, but like I'm of a different generation than those people who use those words, right? I'm a millennial. That's Gen Z. I still don't know what that means. Let's see. David Lee, hey fam from the sauna. Oh, you in the sauna? Is it an infrared one? That's my dream, to have an infrared sauna someday. I have one of those like red light therapy boxes, and it has an infrared button, and I feel like I'm actually baking in the sun in the summer. I love that sensation. Except let's hope it doesn't catch up with me. Oh, the bacon in the sun. All you see is Enoch. How'd you miss it? All you see is Enoch. Are you talking the other live stream? So the other live stream was I was on Corey Costa's Crypto Coins, that channel. I was on that. I was a guest on his stream yesterday. So if you go into my community post, I linked to it, so you could see it there. And also eventually, if you end up, because I know you said you're not on Twitter, but you're thinking about it. If you end up on Twitter, anytime I'm on someone else's stream, I do post it to Twitter, but I'll try to be on top of it now and posting it into the YouTube community thing. So I got to get used to using that more. But also I do have a playlist of when, I think it's called appearances or whatever, when I am a guest on somebody else's stream. So if you look in there, I don't think I put this into the appearance playlist yet. Can't talk. Yeah. So blessings and Merry Christmas, y'all. Yes, blessings and Merry Christmas to you too. Merry Christmas to those of you who celebrate. Happy Hanukkah. I believe that starts tomorrow. Happy Kwanzaa, Festivus, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all those December holidays. I won't go as far as saying Yule. Yule kind of creeps me out. And yes, I know people are like, well, if you're a Christian and you celebrate Christmas, then you participate in those things. But you see, I'm not one of those Christians. I'm not into those other things and rituals. Hex Force One, nice to see you. Sorry, I just got lost on my little live thing. So yeah, Hex Force One. I feel like, wait, were you on the stream yesterday? Did I see your name? Well, thank you for being here tonight. Beam D, think I could catch it all live. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here live. I appreciate that. 63 warm. Yes, that is warm because I live in an old house, and plus I'm in the Northeast. So sometimes you sleep in the 50s. I've slept in a room that's 50 something. You make do. And because this region of New York being one of the original 13 colonies, some of these houses are very old and they didn't insulate back then. Whoa, so it gets cold. And unfortunately, the economy, the position we've been put in the world, the intentional destruction of our economies and everything, it's expensive to heat things now. So a lot of us in this region are just gritting and bearing it in the cold. But here's the thing. Cold is good for your immune system. So it's good to just and we are kind of like, we're humans, we exist in seasons, and humans have adapted to seasons before we had artificial means of air conditioning and heating and and helping our body temperature. So really those fluctuations are good for you. So I like being and sleeping in the cold, even though I can't stand the cold and I always complain about it. I do like sleeping in the cold in winter. I am telling you, like, put me in have me sleep in a room that's in the 70s and I don't sleep well. And then the opposite, in the summertime, I do not like air conditioner. I like sleeping in the heat. Just give me a fan and I am good. So I like actually following the seasons, and they say that's really good for your immune system. Oh, thank you. Trying to make me feel better so I don't keep adjusting my hair and my outfit. But thank you, Brian. It's very nice of you. Love your energy. Oh, thank you, Bob. Are you new to the live? I feel like I haven't seen that last name, Bob. I'm afraid I'm going to butcher it. Bob Leponge. Is it French? But thank you, Bob. That's very kind of you. Oh, so you saw Enoch? Okay, the live yesterday. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm behind. So I did answer that. Ricky is a nickname you picked up in the Solana world off an NFT project. Here for the ride. All right, gotcha. Yeah, that's why I'm always like, when I see your name, because I'm like, which name am I calling you? All right. So basically, you'll just answer to any. Is that it? Praise the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Jack out the box. Thank you for that. I don't know what bussin' means either, so maybe we shouldn't throw that word around. I know. I'm like, is that a dirty word? No, but it can't be. Kids are using it, but then you never know with kids. I don't know. No, but I think bussin' means like, oh, you know what? I'm thinking of a different word. I'm not going to say. I think bussin' means good. So like, oh, this food is bussin', I guess. I don't know. I don't work with children anymore. Not because I got like banned or anything. Just I don't work in the schools anymore. Oh, there we go. There's the answer. Bussin' means good. Thank you. It's a dry sauna. Oh gosh, I want to be in a sauna. Like, I mean, even though I said that I like to sleep in the heat, I do want to be in a sauna too. So like I said, that's my dream. One day an infrared sauna. Excited for the upcoming topics. Well, is that your way of saying, Ashley, get to the point and stop chatting with the live chat? Sorry, my hair, I should have gelled it back. It just bothered me. But anyway, it's just, do I seem a little ADHD? Everybody accuses me of that, but I'm like, it's fine. I will live with that. I'm good. That's the way I've lived all this time, and I will continue to live with my brain functioning like that. Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Flat Earth Underground. Chris Mahana Kwanzaa Festival. Never heard of that before. Well, okay. Once upon a time, I want to say the mid-aughts. So yeah, maybe it was around 04. Wait, hold on. 03 to 04. No, 05 or 06. Okay. Virgin Mobile had this they had this really hilarious campaign for a while. And they had a whole song that went along with it for the holidays, I'm like, I want to sing it, but I won't subject that to you. But eventually, they goes, Happy Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa to you and to the pagans too. And then we used to sing that in school. So that was where that came from. And I always remember that. And even like if I had to write a card in high school, it was like, Happy Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. It's true. Blankets do exist. And you know what? If you layer them and make it heavy, then you feel really warm. And I know some people kind of like it like a weighted blanket. So some people find that comforting. I find it warm. So just put the layers on me. Actually, I need to get back into the prepping videos because there's a lot of ways, that great ways to keep warm in a grid down scenario. Living in an old house, we have experimented with some of them. There's a really amazing Japanese water bottle that stays hot all night. My parents were using it all of last year, and I was just like unconvinced. And I finally gave in this year, and I'm like, oh, that's really good. So yeah, so we should talk about that. We should do a video about survival methods of staying warm. Sleeping in the cold is best. Yeah, and they say that the body works better that way. You just should have socks on, even in the summer, because something about the circulation on your feet, if your feet circulation stays warm, it helps your body sleep. You turn into a radiator during winter. Okay, so then at least you save money on heat, right? But it says you got to fuel yourself up with all the food, so it's still an expenditure. Jack Handy, good evening. Thank you for being here, Jack. I don't recognize your name either, so welcome if this is your first time live. Still have to have at least a foot hanging out of the blanket. You see, no, I don't like that because my foot will freeze in this kind of house if it hangs out of the blanket. You love the noise of a fan at night and crickets when you live near the woods. You know what? That does sound quite nice, the crickets outside. And I remember being at a hotel in Florida as a kid and hearing the frogs outside, and that was different and new and foreign to me. But I like a blower fan, and that's kind of loud though. That's like maybe not as soothing, but it works very well if you don't like air conditioner in the summer. It's 23 below at the cabin tonight in Alaska. Oh, yes, you are from Alaska. Oh, so you probably have some really good ways to keep warm. So yeah, we'll have to talk sometime. Maybe you got to pop into that that prepping video. At least a toe. Nope, nothing's hanging out of the blankets here. Not for me. I said it right. Okay, good. Maybe all those years of French as a kid helped. Not that I remember how to speak it, but I remember some pronunciations here. My brain is like a pinball machine. Exactly. Like I said, I get accused of being ADHD, but I'm like, I don't care. I'm not going to do anything about it. So I got through school somehow. Yeah. Oh, there we go. There's the link. And they had like oh my gosh, I think they had like 800 numbers you could call, and then you would hear like weird messages and something about chutney, and it was just wild. It was just a fun time for advertising. And I have to say, people don't like prepaid phones because they're like, oh, it's like burner phones. It's like criminals use and everything. And oh, maybe they're downgrading. You don't have priority if the grid is overloaded, the cell phone grid. But let me tell you, you can get some really good deals on prepaid. And I used to have Virgin Mobile, and it was like one of the best carriers I've had. Besides the fact that Sprint sucked, like I never had an issue. But okay, I would have issues maybe like if I went down into a store that was underground, or if I went out into the country, I would have issues with Virgin Mobile. But everything else was perfect. It was great. Sorry, was that a Trump thing that I just did? I don't know. How old is my house? So my house is not as old as everyone else's. It's about 100 or 110 years old, I think. I think 110 years old. But some people around here have like houses that were built in the 1700s. There's a lot of 1800s, but yeah, so it's on the older side, but still old enough where they weren't insulating it very well. There is some insulation, but it still is very cold. But yeah, a lot of history here, a lot of old houses, a lot of old buildings that that have similar issues. But I guess some people don't mind cranking their heat up all the way. I'm like, okay, besides that being expensive, I don't think it's that healthy. But some people do around here. But I'm sure it's going to be happening less as they want to pretend we're in an energy crisis and raise our prices and everything. As another form of control. WEF BS. Cold showers are good as well. I've heard that, but there is some debate with like that ice dunking outside, like that Wim Hof type stuff that Joe Rogan and everybody does. It's interesting, but I'm like, I don't know if I can bring myself to do that. But yet, in the Nordic regions, they've done that for like a long time. So I don't know. I don't like cold showers. I'm a little bit of a wuss when it comes to that. Oh, so it was 07? I remember before 07 too. So they might have, it might have been an ongoing campaign for a few years, and then maybe they just changed it out every now and then. But I'm pretty sure, because I'm trying to remember what grade I was in when people were saying it and singing it in class. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, you know what that was? Okay, if I was taking that, it was 05. So maybe, yeah. So I know there was definitely a Chris Mahana Kwanzaa song in 05 too. Oh yeah, Doug, have you seen the Northern Lights? Hey, John. Fire pit is a good way to keep warm, but not too deep into the wilderness because you really don't feel like dealing with wandering Nephilim or whatever. You know what? I'm really starting to question certain things about the wilderness. It never really scared me before. And it's not that it scares me, but now I'm like, oh, you have to be more vigilant than just the typical vigilance for bears or whatever. I'm like, oh, there's a little more happening in the wilderness. Oh, so now, yeah. So now I am definitely on the same page as you with that. And thank you for being here, John. And for anyone who did not see John's live stream with me, go back and watch it. That is from last Saturday. Very interesting. John had an encounter with the New World Order. And very, very, very telling about how they view us and what their plans are for us. So I definitely check that out if you haven't yet. Traveling mercies and have a wonderful time visiting family and friends during Christmas, y'all. Yes, I echo that. To anyone else who is traveling, yes, we pray travel mercies on you guys, and that you have a good time with your family. Don't be too hostile, and with the fluoride stare people, because past the point, you're just not going to convince people. It's not worth arguing, right? So, but I hope you all do have a wonderful Christmas time, to those of you who celebrate. What is the topic tonight? Ada's telling me to get on with it, Ashley, and stop talking. So what you're saying is Bigfoot is real. Okay, we'll discuss that. Let me get to the bottom of the live chat. Hey, Ash, there's a book I forgot to mention on one of your earlier streams. All of you must check it out. Oh yeah, please drop that book in here. Genesis 6 Conspiracy: How Secret Societies and Descendants of the Giants Plan to Enslave Humankind by Gary Wayne. It's a thick read with loads of connected dots type info. And let me tell you, I've been diving into that and looking into all different things. I've really gotten into L.A. Marzulli lately. And he's actually having a sale for Christmas. And one of my relatives are like, ooh, pick something out. And I'm like, yes, I will. He does a monthly AMA on Zen Garcia's YouTube channel. Okay, thank you so much for that. Like I've said to you guys, like, I appreciate all the suggestions, and I'm so glad they're in the chat because I can come back and reference them. And I may not get to all of them immediately, but I eventually do. Like a while ago, L.A. Marzulli was mentioned, and now I'm like, ooh, I got into L.A. Marzulli, and I'm like, I get it. He's pretty awesome. Seconded about the stream with John. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Glenn. So, Doug, you have seen the Northern Lights. Oh man, that must be something. I wish we could. I mean, some supposedly like once in a while we can see it here, but I've gone out and I've never seen it. Maybe too close to the city. Maybe the YouTube video you posted was from 2007. That's what I'm thinking. So the commercial was from 05, but yeah, it was probably an 07 post, because 05, some people were still using Google Video then. So I guess it took some people a few years to send their videos, to hop on the YouTube bandwagon. I was a YouTube video girl, and I saw the other kids, and I'm sorry, I was a Google Video girl, not a video girl who was camming or anything. I don't mean like that, but I mean that was my go-to until I finally adapted and got with the times and went to YouTube. So for the cold, you have to feel the positives before you understand. But yes, the start is hard, worth it because the effect is immediate. Energy felt throughout the day will convince. I could use a little of that energy. I've been fading all day. But I think, I think everything, because people are trying to say, oh, the negatives of this type of cold exposure. But I'm like, everything has positive and negative. But besides that, everybody's bodies are different. But I think as a whole, when you do go into those extremes, it does do something to your body where it just kicks certain processes in that protect you. It's kind of like fasting for a long time kicks in autophagy. Is a great cancer fighter. It has to be a certain amount of hours that you do that. Yeah. Oh, the stream with John was fire. Yes, it was. Yeah. Thank you again, John, for being there. That was a really awesome stream. I really want to see them. That's cool, Doug. Yeah. I hope we all get to see the Northern Lights sometime. Okay. So topics for tonight. So like I said, it was kind of, tonight is one of those nights where we just kind of throw different ideas around, go back and forth in the live stream. And I just will throw out there a few things that I've encountered, a few things that I've come across. So remember, like back in the summer when we when we looked at those videos from the X-Files and we're like, okay, is this predictive programming or is this a warning? Is somebody in the know in the writer's room? What's the deal? Because X-Files, so much of it has come true. And it was, yes, in the revival seasons that happened in 2016 and 2018. But even like the older stuff, and you look at it and you're like, man, this is all happening today. Um, and I had like heard a little bit about the Lone Gunman. So if you were an X-Files fan, the Lone Gunman, like those three nerdy guys who they would go, Mulder, Scully would go to for help and would go to for what's it called? Whatever. Yeah, for hacking, all right? They ended up getting their own spinoff. And this spinoff is called The Lone Gunman. And in the pilot, this was pre 2001 in this pilot. So the Lone Gunman pilot had a plot in it that that the government or the military, whatever, flew unmanned planes, I guess radio controlled, whatever, that they flew them into the World Trade Center. And the purpose of doing that was to start a war with the Middle East. Okay? And this was pre 9/11. The show was canceled after one season. And you're like, okay, well, spin-offs don't always do good. Maybe it wasn't good. I've never seen it, so I can't judge. I should see it. Because I have watched the entire series. It used to be cheap. Now all of a sudden it's really expensive to get. And it's like, is that because of the info on it is all coming true? But so it's really it's strange because you're like, okay, did it suck and that's why it get canceled, or was it a little too true to life and a little was it giving too much away and that's why they canceled it? Because the thing was, what for the X-Files to be able to spin off like that, usually a show has to be really successful, and we know what a monster hit the X-Files was in the 90s. So I cannot imagine that that there was no audience for this show. Okay, like maybe it would just get a few seasons, because look at Millennium was a spin-off of the X-Files and got like a couple seasons, so I would think at least a second season for a spin-off. But no, they canceled The Lone Gunman after one season. So a little too true to life. Are you guys familiar with that? Like that that's kind of disturbing. That's pretty disturbing. And I believe, I will post it to my Twitter, but I believe the entire pilot is available on YouTube. And I'm like, what is going on with that? So yeah, that X-Files episode was on InfoWars. Okay, it was. And the funny thing is, one of the characters is kind of like inspired by Alex Jones in InfoWars in there. The character that was played by I forget that guy's name, the guy who had that TV show, The Soup. And so there was an Alex Jones-esque character. So that's interesting. Can't speak tonight. So that's very interesting. Yeah, that he caught on to it too. But it wasn't just those revival seasons. So many things when you go back and you look in the older seasons, you're like, oh, that's a thing. Like the Syndicate, right? The Syndicate, aren't those like the people that ruled the world, that secret ruling class? Like and like UFO invasions that weren't exactly UFO, but are what do they call it in X-Files? The colonization, right? But the colonization, spoiler alert, turned out to be like a government project too. I mean, don't we? That's like the Greada Treaty. So it's really wild. Is frozen. I don't know. All right. Hold on, guys. Let me. I'm back. I don't know why this happens lately, because I'm pretty much doing stuff from the same place. Remember when I used to stream with that blue background behind me? That was this room, and I didn't have internet issues. So I don't know what the deal is with this. Anyway, let's see. Sorry, let me catch back up. Okay, so here, I've seen northern lights while living in Sweden. For people like us, it is proof that reality is not what we are told, in my opinion anyway. Just saying. Okay. Okay, interesting take on that. Um you slightly remember that. You wouldn't mind rewatching the show. I am intrigued. I'm like, I think I have to watch this whole series now. And I need to watch Millennium also. My dad has the whole set. So, hey Russ, nice to see you too. Oh, you've seen that long. Okay. Oh, thank you. I'm like, why is that censored? Oh, yes, yes, the algorithm. Okay, so you've seen that on YouTube, but I'm like, how blatant can you be if this is predictive programming? Or is it just, I don't know, where people are revealing the plan? I don't know how to look at these things. Honestly, I don't even question it. I just take it for what it is at face value. Oh, they did that, and then 9/11 happened. Interesting. Utopia 2020 on Prime is due. Oh, okay. I've never heard of that show before. But that's kind of like V 2009, which was streaming on Prime, in which, I don't know, the contract ran out. Now mysteriously they don't stream anymore. I think because it would have caused people to question that narrative. So it's interesting that Utopia is still streaming there. I've heard that holographic images in a false flag event because jet fuel burning isn't hot enough to melt steel beams. But besides that, besides holographic images, because here's the thing: when you live here, you hear a lot of people you hear a lot of stories from people who were down there, people who heard things, people did look up and hear something flying over. So I think it is plausible that those jets really did hit the buildings. But the thing is, was that the distraction? Because people reported explosions. So, okay, if you were to detonate that, I'm like, am I really going to get kicked off YouTube for saying this? But let's say you were to detonate things without the distraction of a jet, then it would be clear. There we go. It would be very clear, okay, that something was up, all right? That, oh, something was set in there, that it was a plot and it was a plan already waiting inside the building. But if you put the jets in there, then you can detonate, but everybody will automatically assume it's the jets. So I do believe the jets happened. I believe the jets were distractions so that they can get blamed and that there was a scapegoat. Because everything else was destroyed in those buildings, but mysteriously those passports survived in such great condition. Lovely, smart. Like, what? I don't understand. They want us to think people are I don't know. They want us to be dumb, but people did. I mean, for years I bought into that narrative because I didn't understand the truth or narrative. But then when I saw what way it was coming from, like, now I get it. So, past is prologue. The concept of flying planes into buildings in order to start a war by blaming the act on an innocent party comes from the early 1960s, called Operation Northwoods. Okay, so they were just pulling from that past thing. So not necessarily predictive programming. And I guess, what more iconic buildings than the World Trade Centers? The plan for Operation Northwoods was a pretext to blame Fidel Castro in order to invade Cuba. Okay, yes, I have heard of that plan. I didn't know the name of it. But it's like that constant thing of, why are we handing so much trust over to, the government, over to an entity that it clearly is not truthful, who's constantly setting things up, and they don't care at what cost, what expense. The amount of people that would have died for a lie to start a Cuba invasion, and the amount of people now today in our country and other countries that have died over lies. Like, it's really disturbing when you look at the Iraq war and everything that went on in Afghanistan, and it's all over just whatever their plots and plans are, and not over what they claim the wars were for. I know I've said it before, but I always assume that these wars, there must be a reason. So I'm like, all right, I guess it's just they why would you start a war without a clear reason? It must be a clear reason. And then looking, I'm like, oh no, these are endless wars. There's money being made off of it. There's a motivation that is not like good intention motivations. So yeah. Hey, Tin Top. So, John Davis, have to look into that. But you think you've heard something about that? Yeah, the powers that be are like gremlins that they're watching us. I'm like, it's kind of like you wonder the AI that scours stuff for the algorithm. It's like, who is programming this? They want to promote a certain narrative. So I am sure they're looking for certain buzzwords in whatever we're saying. And okay, what was that sound really paranoid? But it's just weird sometimes when this stuff goes out. Like I said, it told me I was having a browser connection issue. But I stream all the time from this room. I take my classes from this room. I'll do Zooming from my room. Never any issues. But then sometimes when I'm on this, then things will get a little weird, weird. You have to get back to New York to upgrade my streaming setup. But it's just I don't know. It's like I said, it works for everything else. I'm in class and it works. It just doesn't. I don't know. It's odd. Very weird. Let's see. Sorry, I just got a text that I don't know what it was about. So my quote unquote ADHD that I'm accused of having, I can't not let me go. Sorry, I couldn't not read that text. Have my dreams been more vivid lately? Interesting. Okay. I've heard a lot of people talk about that. Look, it's not letting me click it now. Why isn't it letting me click that? There we go. I haven't had any strange or vivid dreams more lately than usual, but I've heard a lot of people talking about that. I don't know much about it to talk on it. What about you guys? Has anyone in here been having weird, strange, vivid dreams? Do passenger airlines even hold jet fuel? I don't know. I mean, they're jets and it's fuel. Doesn't that make it jet fuel? I don't know. But again, it doesn't burn hot enough to be able to do what it said. I think it was just a distraction. Yes, I do believe that fuel spilled out and burned. And that gave us all the smoke, but it was just to give us a scapegoat of like, oh, it was the jets. Yeah, and like those steel beams, the way they were cut, they seemed like they were weakened structurally ahead of time. That everything was plotted and planned. You're starting to see that everything is just like that in this world. Okay, yeah. So both things, a combination of both. Yeah, I'm with you. Predictive programming wasn't blatant back then when aired. They're like Easter eggs for those that are awake, not woke, that look back to see what and why things happened after the fact. Okay, so that makes sense. So I was just dissecting this. So it's more today. Well, they're asking. I mean, I guess as things ramp up exponentially, and as things kind of go into the toilet, they're going to start throwing more at us. So then, what was it then when it was back then? Was it people in the know, or is it just, uh, or were they just drawing on? Like what is your theory on that? If it wasn't that blatant, then what was going on in the X Files? Oh, but that's interesting because yes, there was a lot, but it was way more blatant. I mean, there was a lot of things in the X Files that came true, but it's way more blatant in the revival seasons that were recently. Okay. Yeah. So that's why it got so blatant. Interesting. All the stuff that we're taught in government paid indoctrination camp history books are made up to make USA look like heroes. Honestly, I don't even know what's real and what's not anymore in terms of history. Like even when you look at the founding of our country, I always say that like this America that we're in does not feel like the original intention of America. Doesn't feel like it feels like that we died, went off the rails sometime in our history, and this is some sort of zombie version. But then sometimes I wonder, I'm like, well, was America even what we thought it was? Okay, yes, to a certain extent. Like if you look at the Pilgrims and the values that they carried and their documents that are actually in Plymouth, if you look at the real history of the Pilgrims, not the one that you're taught in school, the forefathers, all right, the forefathers stuff is like incredible, but when you actually get into the founding fathers of our country, there's a lot of occultism happening. I mean, the more I learn, the more disturbed I get. Like Ben Franklin, I don't know, is he considered a founding father? But he had an influence in the founding of our country, and then he was like an occultist who was into sex magic, and they say that his discoveries in the field of like electricity and things were because he was doing occultic experiments trying to do whatever communication with the other side, because there's a belief that a lot of electrical things are linked to that other side. That he was just messing around with that, and then it happened to be an accidental discovery that brought our science forward. And I had heard something else. I have to look more into this. So like, don't quote me exactly, but that like under his cabin there were like people's bones that were found, and you wonder if it was like part of a ritual. So I do wonder about our founding fathers, whether they're just glorified and that they weren't all that was cracked up to be. But I am telling you, man, our forefathers are like where it's at. Like, take a trip to Plymouth, go to the Jenny Museum. There's somebody who really is teaching the real history, and not because he's making it up. Like, they have ways to back that up. The real history of the Pilgrims. People like to say that, oh, they victimized the natives and this and that, but that wasn't the case. There was actually a really nice camaraderie that happened there. Like, those are the original American ideals. I'm a little concerned and doubtful about the founding fathers at the moment. I'm sorry, it's probably going to break my dad's heart. Sorry, Dad, if you're watching, but I'm like, man, these men were occultists. The forefathers were not occultists. And if you are in the Massachusetts, Boston area in Plymouth, wonderful monument called it's like the monument to the forefathers. And yeah, the Jenny Museum will give you a tour and just break down the everything in that monument. And it's really incredible. Let's see. Northwoods was shown in Call of Duty to the public, and they screwed up showing us the rabbit holes to dig down. They got too brazen. I mean, but do they want us going down those rabbit holes, or duck holes, should I say? Like, I feel like yes, are they brazen? But if you think about it, I'm like, these people are so calculated, and they're all watching each other. Nothing happens by accident. It's intentional. And then you have to look at it like, why do they want us going down the rabbit hole? It's, it's like such a mind warp to try to break down. Hey, human hex trafficker, how's it going? I got confused for a moment because you and Brian have the same icons. And I'm like, wait. Why is Brian saying what up? Isn't he already in here? No. Hey, nice to see you. Funny question. You normally got dream, but last night you did have a stream. Oh, you normally don't dream? I'm guessing that means don't. Okay, here we go. I normally do not dream. It's funny that you ask. You did wake up to a dream shaking you out of your sleep. Okay. That's very interesting. I used to dream very vividly and have a lot of them, and I feel like I don't have as much as I used to. So is everybody going in the opposite direction of what usually happens with their dreams? It's very interesting. Oh, thank you, Mr. Okel. Thank you for your kindness. We just go around raging war and force people to use the petrodollar. But I think it's so much more than that. There's so much more happening, and you wonder, like, where Hillary was, um, her emails. And has this been verified? But people say it has been verified. I don't know how to look into this, but her emails that got leaked, that she was looking for info on, was it Gilgamesh? So it's like there's something more in the Middle East that they're after. So are they after information? Are they trying to hide things? Are they after fallen angel technology? It really makes you wonder. I think it's more than just the petrodollar. Okay, different aviation fuels and different flashpoints. Gotcha. I don't know how all that works. Oh, I don't know. Is he streaming? Does he usually stream? I'm really bad at remembering people's streaming schedules. I know that's terrible. I can hardly keep up with my own schedule. So forget everyone else's. But I don't know. I didn't see him tweeting about it. More on Ben Franklin's sex magic. I don't know enough to speak on it at length, but he was, from what I heard, a pretty blatant occultist. That was what I heard on a podcast once, that I think it was the Not So Secret Society's podcast, and that he was pretty into the occult, and sorry, I was distracted by a text again. Okay. And it's interesting because when you look at sex magic, it seems to infiltrate cultures all over the world, but our own too. But when I say culture, I mean architecture. Sorry, it's influencing architecture. Look at the Washington Monument. They say anytime you see an obelisk, that's like sex magic symbolism because it's representative of a phallus. Because I believe the story was, oh shoot, I can't remember anything tonight. Who was that? The guy that built the Tower of Babel. Um, Somebody help me. Um, that I think the story was, and I'm riffing. I can't remember exactly, but this is the gist. But the guy who built the Tower of Babel, that guy, who apparently messed around with transhumanism. When he died, his wife was doing some kind of magic to bring him back in like different parts of his body, and the only part that was like missing was his genitals or something. um and when you see an obelisk in sex magic, it's representative of that. It's symbolic of what he was missing. So anytime you see that, to me, it's like I was touring the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, and they're everywhere. And it to me, it's like in your face in the sense of mocking you. Like, here's our magic, and we're gonna put it right in front of you. We're gonna just that sounded like I was about to say something else that sounded like an innuendo, and it wasn't. So I'm just going to leave it alone. But it's everything in what they do. I feel like they mock us. They put what they do in front of us and be like, you have no idea what we're doing. So we're just going to put it, and we're going to build this beautiful monument in Washington, and we're going to pretend we're going to dedicate it to that founding father, and it's a part of your history. Meanwhile, it's just symbolic of their occultism. Nimrod. Thank you, Michael Parks. It was Nimrod. All right. And because I'm riffing, I didn't prep ahead of time. So, I'm just giving you the gist of the stuff. I might be saying some of the stuff wrong, but it's linked to, the symbolism of Nimrod's wife trying to resurrect him. So, oh gosh, and the story of Nimrod is really interesting. There's a great, maybe it's like a 40-minute lecture on that where I learned a lot about that. I think it's by Dr. Michael Lake, and it's called the Shiner Directive, I'm pretty sure. And he spoke about that. And that was the first time I heard it. And it was like mind blowing. I would just be, just use discernment with Michael Lake, because I hear sometimes he can be a bit off, but he does have a lot of good things that he does teach. He's very informative. Yeah, the only thing we were taught in school was a key and lightning. Yeah, right. Because that's the nice, happy story. Meanwhile, he was doing some sinister stuff. Yeah, my life. So sorry, Dad. Yeah, my dad loves history and the history of the country. And my whole family, we do like that kind of stuff. But you start digging and you start realizing that these people aren't necessarily who they're made out to be. But again, I don't feel that way about the forefathers. So, hey, and thanks for being here, Lit. So the 1989 invasion of Panama to capture Manuel Noriega, I think I said that right, resulted in the slaughter of Panamanian civilians. It wasn't widely reported in world media and covered up with counter narratives in the USA media. Look at this. This is constantly going around the world. And this is what we know. There's always been the rumors of other things like, oh, this big event that happened. Oh, the US did have their hands in it, and they caused this. And that's why I say, like, the US feels like a zombie version of what it's supposed to be. Like, it feels like a perversion of the original reason why America happened. Like, this is some wild version of America. Like, America does not feel like America. It just feels like a part of the New World Order and Great Reset. And this is what they do. They collapse things. They do sneaky stuff. They pretend, we pretend that we're the heroes, but meanwhile, and I like using they, because us, the civilians, we're the good guys. It's the people running our country, the powers that be, that are these people of darkness, that are just causing issues around the world and pretending that they are, they destabilize things. That's it. It's destabilization that we cause. I mean, look at the Arab Spring. That was like whatever Obama's move was with killing Gaddafi. Gaddafi, I forget how to say it, but actually, interestingly, he was trying to institute a Pan-African currency that was actually backed by gold, like, so that you are getting away from that, all those, those bad type of banks, the Fed, that style of banks. He was trying to get away from that, and that was like something that was going to be really incredible for Africa, and kind of free them from the powers that be that are trying to oppress them and bring them into the new world order. So he was okay. Yes, he had issues. He was a dictator. He wasn't a nice guy, but he had some really cool ideas happening there. And so America, and you know what? I say America, but really, America's just in league with all these other countries in the NWO. So, America was just doing the bidding. But the NWO was like, we can't have that. We so they took him out. I was going to use the K word, but I don't want to freak out YouTube. They unalived him and ended up destabilizing the entire region. I remember Glenn Beck calling out ahead of time. He's like, "This is what's going to happen," and he was right that it was like a ring of fire around the Mediterranean, around part of the Mediterranean, and it completely destabilized the region, and people are worse off now than they were. And look at what he was trying to do. It's pretty incredible. That's why I'm always very intrigued by what happens, what goes on in Africa. Let's see. Oh yeah, so if anybody wants to share, what those dreams are that you're having. I think Robert, that was you who said you were having the dream. If you are willing, be curious. I've heard some people talking about dreams on white horses above a bunch of chaos. L.A. Marzulli was recently talking about that. Bunch of all the chaos in the world. I thought that was interesting. Is that the one that you've heard? Because I just listened to L.A. Marzulli talking about that. So I wonder if we're on the same page with that. Hey, Clintrons, nice to see you. What time is it in Australia right now? What is it like? Is it like noon for you now? So Hillary spoke about transferring her consciousness to Gilgamesh's body in a stasis chamber in the way he leaves. Like, I'm sorry to laugh, man, but that family is just unhinged. There's just, and they live in my county. How lovely. Okay, it was to regain control of the Panama Canal. But why do we have to own a canal that's not okay? Strategic location, but still, everything's. So there's so many ways you could look at that and dig into it. I can't. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. It's sorry. I'm not. And I'm not dismissing what you're saying, John. I'm just like, it makes me insane. When you look at what we do in the world. And again, it's not even us. It's just part of the club that they're a part of. Oh, Ben Franklin was a member of the Satanic Hellfire Club. I remember hearing something about the Hellfire Club, especially since Stranger Things has brought that. Now all of a sudden, everybody's wearing Hellfire Club T-shirts in the mainstream. Is it like, 'cause there's certain types of magic too, where if you give it attention, it gives it more power. And I'm like, well, is everybody wearing the Hellfire Club T-shirts, kind of like perpetuating that? And the thing is, it's like a D&D thing, and it was like Stranger Things, and it kind of is like, it's easy to get sucked into it. I love Strange Things. It's a cool design. I'm like, oh, that would be cool, but I'm like, I don't want to wear the devil on a shirt and the Hellfire Club. But everybody, remember, was not reading that, wearing that. So very, very interesting, the influence on society, and most likely intentional. Okay, so yeah, Nimrod built the Tower of Babel or had it built. And oh gosh, man, that Tower of Babel story, like, for I always, just bought into the typical narrative. Oh, they tried to reach God, and that was why God struck down Tower of Babel, almost like because it was about human arrogance. And then when I heard the fact that Nimrod was likely a transhumanist, and that he was trying to potentially open a portal on top. There's a lot of different theories about it. I'm like, oh, now that makes sense why the Tower of Babel, why the people were scattered. Sorry. Yeah, why the people were scattered when they were doing the Tower of Babel. Now I get it. So the Hellfire Club is orgies and child sacrifice. There you go. Okay, so that's that sex magic that we were talking about. So Nimrod was the offspring of the giants and also killed giants. So he was kind of like, I don't want to say a paradox, but there was a lot going on with him. Yeah, and I heard he was the offspring of giants, but there's also been some suggestion of the fact that he was a transhumanist, that somehow he, through the occult, figured out how to, that he wasn't necessarily born into that, but he figured out how to alter his DNA, which, obviously is a big no-no, something very dark, which seems to be happening in different ways today, but that's another story. 99% of your life is riffing. The George Washington Monument and things alike is a hat nod to his golden phallus. And it's wild because it's like I knew that there was something up with the obelisk, but when you hear that, I'm like, yeah, now that makes sense. And I always say that makes sense now because there's so many things that are just like you kind of shrug it off. You're like, that's weird. It's this, it's that. But then when you put it into this, you're like, this perspective, the this lens, you're like, oh, now this all makes sense. And you really see how much darkness is around you. And I'm like, is everything out to get us? Apparently, um, not that we live in fear. We have our faith and we trust in God for protection. But man, you need to be aware of this. I think it's important. And I know some people are saying like, no, don't focus on this. Don't give it power. Don't even. But I'm like, no, it's important to be aware. You have to know what's going on so that you can protect yourself. It's not that we worry about it or overly focus on it, but you can't stick your head in the sand. Yeah, so the reference to the Hellfire Club kept throwing you off while watching Stranger Things. I had no idea until after the fact. I had heard something, yeah, about the Hellfire Club after the fact, but when I was watching it, I was just like, oh, D&D. It's probably a D&D thing. All right, yeah, everything is intentional. And now they're going back in Stranger Things. Okay, kind of an anecdote, but well, but it kind of relates. So now they're going back into Stranger Things and altering things because okay, they've messed up some things in the story, and because Stranger Things is primarily a streaming thing. Yes, you can buy physical copies of it, but primarily it you get it through streaming. Usually, when there was an inconsistency in a show, it's too bad they just left it in and you just kind of had to deal with it, overlook it. But now they're going in and they're trying to fix their inconsistencies. Like Will's birthday uh was uh was mentioned in season 1, and then now in season 4 it was his birthday but nobody mentioned it, like the same date. So they're like, "Oh no, we need to fix that." And they went back in and they changed something. And I'm like, "No, you can't. That's like changing history." I don't believe in like changing things about shows after the fact unless you're specifically releasing like a director's cut or some sort of a special edition. But they even went back into season 1, and for anybody that's watched, do you remember when Jonathan was taking pictures of Nancy in the house, right? Like he was like creeping and taking those pictures of her like half dressed and when she was up in the window. Now they took that out. So because they're like, it made Jonathan look like too much of a creep. I'm like, no, that was part of the show. But it's scary because it shows, okay, yes, I have the physical copy. So now I still have that OG that what is it? Yeah, that OG take cut. I had that OG cut. But it's scary to think that they can just go in and change things. And if they didn't tell you, then you probably wouldn't know about it. I did see some people freaking out online saying, "Oh no, I remember this. What happened to it?" And then they were able to find out that okay, it eventually was announced. But look at this changing of things. Now when we have too many things like books on Kindle, streaming services, they can change things and pull history, and you would never know it's gone. Like there is a country in the East. I don't know if they have anything to do. They own TikTok, so it starts with the C, CH. I don't want to trip any algorithms here, but they have been buying up movies from certain studios that make their country look bad, and they either are destroying it or they're completely locking it away in vaults and you can't distribute it anymore. So there's some movies you cannot get now. And I'm like, that changes history. So it just kind of shows the importance of having things physically. Um and it's I don't know. It's warped, but you see how they can so easily manipulate us that way. Sorry, guys, I gotta catch up. Let's see. Um, In that case, the symbolism could be everywhere and we were just unaware of it. Ball drops at New York, tooth under pillow, eggs on Easter, et cetera, et cetera. And it truly is. I really see how much symbolism is everywhere. I'm like, you look at Santa Claus and I'm like, it's children basically worshiping a pagan god. You know, giving them their request and they're leaving their offering for Christmas Eve, and they kind of sometimes are more interested in Santa than they are like in their own faith. So you really start to see the symbolism everywhere. Yeah, the eggs on Easter, fertility goddess Ishtar. But I know there's some debates about it. They're like, no, Easter actually comes from a Greek word or some Eastern European word. So people go back and forth about it, but you really do start to see that yeah, it is it's blatant and it's everywhere. So that's why I think it's just better not to have your head in the sand. Not that we live in fear, but it's just good to know. Okay. Oh, it's somewhat close when I said noon-ish. Isn't it a wild sentence to say outside? Gilgamesh staged this chamber. Of course, we sound crazy speaking about it. I know. As I was reading it out loud, I'm like, it sounds nuts, but we all understand where that's coming from, you know. So, but yeah, if we said it in front of anybody else, people would be like, "What are you talking about? You're insane." Waist chest, just saying. I don't know what that means. You binged Stranger Things? Let me tell you, I like Stranger Things too. I've seen all the seasons. I've seen some seasons more than once. I mean, I still like this stuff, but I think at least there's an awareness. But then you wonder, is it programming you? And I don't necessarily mean it in a brainwashing way, though some people do believe that. But I think a lot of this stuff primes you, like if you're not aware of it. Like let's take MetaQuest, for example. It used to be called the Oculus, the VR. Um, People are like, okay, it could get you to a dangerous place. There's that meme out where where it's, it has that WEF quote, you will own nothing and you will be happy. And it shows somebody with, an Oculus with the MetaQuest on in this dingy looking room on an old mattress in a corner because they own nothing. But you know what? They're being placated. That's their, the opiate of the masses to distract people. So, so that they're okay with not owning everything, right? So people are like, okay, VR could be used in that way because it kind of, I don't know, because people get to live this life vicariously and that they're cool with being locked down or whatever, right? That it could be dangerous. So you see how certain things could not program you, could prime you to accept certain things more easily. But then I'm like, okay, well, if somebody owns that, but they're aware, at least they're approaching it with an awareness, I don't know if that justifies it, but I just mean that I think being aware kind of helps you avoid some of the pitfalls of, what's going on. Nimrod, the anti-villain? Yeah, I would say just pure villain, straight up villain, I think. Yeah. Everyone was talking about the designer and saying, yes, exactly. So sorry, I'm hopping back and forth here. When we were saying certain types of magic, when you pay more mind to it, when you start, talking about it, you make that magic more powerful because there are certain types of magic that need that attention in order to function. So when we were talking about Balenciaga, and I know there was some debate, some people were like, no, Balenciaga does not mean that Baal is king, but then I see other people say yes, only but in certain languages, not Latin. So there was a lot of back and forth about that. But Baal kind of being in the name is not, is a little disturbing. Like I said, I always got a weird vibe from the brand. It wasn't not that it was going around buying that level of designer stuff, but it just gave me the creeps, that brand. But yeah, everybody was talking about that designer Balenciaga and these people that were involved in it. Remember, everybody was showing like what was on these Balenciaga people's Instagrams, right? People were like, well, you know what? This might be a certain type of magic where we're all giving it power by giving it attention. And that's a problem. We're playing right into their plans. So like maybe this is what they want. And that's why they posted that controversial stuff. So it's really, it's interesting. And it's like, you don't know what approach to take sometimes. I guess that's why you just have to, ask God for wisdom and, use discernment. Is it Nimrod? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Derogatory term today. Yep. You're right. Listening from the back row in the shadows. Good talk. Oh, thanks for being here, Rags. I appreciate that. Don't be a Nimrod. Yep, another Easter egg. Just saying, it's interesting. It's interesting how this stuff does infiltrate our culture. You're late, replay gang. Oh well, thank you for being here. Don't start it over. Just hang out live and then replay later, right? Is that what you're doing? Um, yeah, Rags, would love to hear your take on this stuff. Oh gosh, guys, I'm so far behind. Hold on, let me catch up. I'm gonna star a few as I'm going through, and then okay. You know what? I'll just read it as I'm going through instead of hopping back and forth. Anyone see the video of the black hole in the sky near CERN? Did you guys see that? A lot of people were saying that it was CGI, but people pointed out there are people that look to be pulled over looking at it in that picture, the black hole over CERN. And it's not the first time that people see weird things in the sky over CERN. Has anyone seen that? I mean, that it's we're some people look at it as an irresponsible science experiment. I'm like, that's not a science experiment. That's a portal. I'm really thinking it's a portal. Reg says Tower Babel proves simulation. Humans were getting too advanced. Software update introduces hundreds of languages into the minds of adults. Forces them to forget the original instantaneously. Nothing else could do that. There's one perspective. Is that like also the archaics perspective? I'm not too familiar with this stuff. No offense, he just rubs me the wrong way. Interesting idea. We're all entitled to different ways of viewing that. I kind of view it a little differently. I view it as they were starting to get somewhere dangerous spiritually, and it was like, But I guess it kind of similar idea, similar take. Not gonna lie, had a long day in the desert shooting, and then helping nephew with his truck that broke down. He forgot to eat all day. Now only a few beers, and you are passing out. Well, oh, I'm sorry. I hope I'm not putting you to sleep. That desert, I'm sure that heat can be draining. So I hope you have a good sleep if you do pass out. Hellfire Club is also an X-Men Marvel comics, which isn't surprising since some of the biggest comic writers are occultists / Luciferians. And you know what? You kind of look at it and you're like, is it a club? It must be some sort of club that regular people can't break into. Because how are there so many of these people sitting in writers' rooms and sitting in these these companies, though I do know some writers and illustrators, and they seem like normal people, but and they were at these big companies too, but as a whole it's like, like for TV in the writers rooms too, though I know those people too. But you don't know, I guess those TV writers, I don't know who they are behind closed doors. I mean, for the most part these people seem normal, but like you sometimes wonder in the TV world, like, do you have to come to some sort of agreement in order to get into a position that's high? That's it's like a coveted position to be in a TV writer's room. It really makes you wonder what's happening, if there's some sort of club, if people are being approached, or is it people of certain bloodlines in there? And that's what I was thinking. Yep, Rags has been watching RKX and taking notes. He got good info on who Nimrod actually was too. Do your own research. Archaics is interesting. I don't watch too often, but every time I do, what he's usually saying resonates. Yeah, watch with discernment. Yeah, I'm sure there's some interesting things to be taken from it. And Rags, I wasn't dismissing, what you were saying. I just felt it right away. I'm like, that's archaics. I don't know. You know how some people just like just rub you the wrong way? I'm like, maybe it's his delivery. I can't. Yeah. Yeah. All of ancient archaeology is beginning to line up, especially. And imagine how much more it would line up and make sense if we actually knew our actual history and it wasn't hidden from us. Passing out, Ash. Love the no format stream. Let the chat guide you. Keep it up. High coolness. That chat was meant to say, oh, wait, okay, Wastechester. Gotcha. Just saying. Well, thank you so much, Brian. I appreciate that. And I hope you have a good rest. Sounds like you had a fun day in the desert. Let's see. Our words speak reality into this realm. So whatever twist they lay into your world will play out as so. I know, I think people talk a lot about manifestation and bringing things about. But I don't really buy into that manifestation narrative, but I do believe that words have power spiritually, and that you could call certain things out upon you, and that you do have to be careful what you say, and whether your emotions are negative, and whether you're speaking negativity too. And I don't mean like in the health and wealth, speaking to your billfold, but I mean you could call things out on you. I mean, what are spells but words? I IK with the tech these days. I question all those videos. George Carlin stand up is a club. We're not in it. Oh, okay. Are you okay? And now I know what you're referring to. Gotta watch George Carlin stand up on It's a Club when we're not in it. And it's interesting that he could say it. Whenever there's people that say this stuff, like Dave Chappelle is one of them, I'm like, how are they still alive? I mean, Coolio said some stuff and then ended up dead. So I'm like, are these people who can say stuff? And I mean, okay, I know he did die at some point. Did he die soon after that? So it's like, how can certain people get away with saying this stuff? Are they part of this club and they are passing on info? They're doing something intentional, or do these people have something on somebody that will be released if they die? Like if they have a contingency plan in place and they feel like they're invincible and they can say certain things without getting in trouble. It really makes you wonder. Oh, thank you, Torin. So, hey, Ashley and everyone. I have to watch the replay. Very busy season. Hope you all have a great night. Merry Christmas. Oh, thank you, Hexagon Contractor. Thank you for popping in to say hi. And I hope you have a Merry Christmas too. These streams are top tier. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Torin. And thank you, Mr. Okel, and everybody else who has sent compliments, because I felt bad. I'm like, I'm exhausted. I've had so much going on this week. I felt bad. I didn't have a guest or any topic prepped. I'm like, is everybody gonna hate this? But I appreciate that you guys are cool with it, because it's fun to bounce these things around with each other. I like it. So I'm glad you guys are into it too. Merry Hexmas. Yeah, Hexmas. So they have to clear their consciousness. Yeah, they say it's like some sort of karmic thing. These people believe in karma, and with predictive programming, they believe that if they show us their plans, then they're basically getting permission from us. By viewing it, we're giving them permission, and then it like means good karma for them or something, which is funny because I'm like, this is what these people believe in. I don't know. Very strange. I don't even try to fathom how their brains work past the point, because they're just evil, straight up. But yeah, like a vampire asking it away into your home. Yeah, definitely. I do think that. Yeah, like, when you're referring to the calling things out, or just the predictive programming that we're kind of accepting it by viewing it. So it's like, wait, should we not be viewing it? But it's a tough call sometimes. What does my typical Christmas look like? Dinner with the fam, sleeping in. My family, who lives in this region, where I am, is of Italian ancestry. So Christmas is, both days are celebrated, but the bigger, like, where you dress up and really have the big meal is Christmas Eve for us. And then, we still have a nice meal on Christmas Day too and dress up, but a little more casual. But your Christmas Eve is the big holiday for us, with the family. Sleeping in, I don't know. I guess I'll see what time I wake up. But there's, I guess, a lot for everyone to do. Everybody finds a way to contribute, so I'm sure we'll all be up. So what do you guys? What is your plans for Christmas? And I will be streaming next week, so I'll see you guys before Christmas, or this week. Is it already this week? No. It's still Saturday right now. 19. Well, what is that? 19 likes? That is exactly the draw to Archaics. His data dumps about correcting timelines and suppressed, lost, misinterpreted history. Now, I've heard that he has some interesting info. I mean, I've gotten some of his free info online. It's just, like I said, there's certain people that kind of their presentation can be a turnoff for certain people sometimes. Do you think that fish think? Oh, do I do that fish thing? Why did I think? I just read it completely wrong. A little sleepy. Oh, yeah, we do the fish thing, but but kind of modified. We used to do more fish, and then we kind of changed things up. So we're gonna do fish, and we're gonna do surf and turf. Yeah, we're doing so there's gonna be some other meat items. I'm sorry, Brian. For other people. But yeah, like, for anyone who's not aware, a lot of Italians on Christmas Eve do the Feast of the Seven Fishes. So it's tradition to get seven different types of seafood, and serve that, and only do seafood. Um, on Christmas Eve. So we don't do seven anymore because we have different food allergies and shellfish allergies now. People have that, but like what it used to look like, we used to get eel. My grandfather used to love eel. Um, Calamari would be one of them. I think bacalao would be another. So we're at three. Spaghetti and clams would probably make it four. What were the other three? Um, was scallops one of them? Was mussels? I don't remember. I don't remember. But yeah, so yes, there will be seafood. Um, with archaics, the thing that doesn't make sense is if we are in some sort of matrix simulation, why would they leave behind all the ancient texts and clues for us to work it out? I know that has crossed my mind. I'm like, wouldn't they design it so that we don't have access to any of this, that there aren't clues? Or do they want us to find the clues? Yeah. So that's why I'm like I can't. It's yeah. I'm not buying into it. I'm sorry to say, guys, because I know a lot of you are fond of him. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Psalm 19:1 is a nice verse. Thank you. We want that Enoch read. Yes, next week I'm going to go back to it. So, yeah, probably Monday. Probably Monday I'll start back with it again. Is a dish my friend Pam does from New York. What is a dish? Oh, the fish thing? Yeah. Um, or I feel like there's something cut off. Is a dish. Was there something before that? Oh, I don't know if I have a favorite scripture verse. I have the Bible app, so you can like highlight and save a bunch of verses in there, and I do have a bunch saved. But I feel like it kind of changes just according to how you feel or what you're thinking about. Um, but I always thought that, oh, so many great things, but for whatever reason, this is popping into my head right now, and I like this because it kind of, it's like the value of human life and how special it is, where it's like, you knit me together in my mother's womb. You saw my unformed body. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and that's in Psalms. I always like that one too. Um, oh yeah, the Feast of the Seven Fishes. And it smells very strong when you walk into an Italian house on Christmas Eve. Like residual data left on a hard drive wiped. There's always something left behind. I don't know, man. If that tech is mm, so good enough to do that, but why would they, why would that still be in it? The boule is the buffer zone between white elite boule. I don't know how to say that. A white elitism in America and black American underclass. It consists of the black American upper class and is tasked with keeping the black underclass down. Hold on. So white is the buffer zone, black American underclass. So there's black American upper class that keeps black underclass down. So it's like people of their own race oppressing each other. And it's interesting because you want to know what the first thing that comes to mind when you say that. And yeah, I mean, it's not going to make me popular on YouTube, but who cares? Because everybody loves them for whatever reason. But the Obamas, right? For me, the Obamas pop right into that. They are upper class, but his policies keep people, keep the underclasses down. I mean, his policies destroyed the middle class, and then when you have certain government programs in place, you keep people dependent on them too, so that people get stuck in certain classes and can't rise up. So I think about that because it was like, what did Obama do for his own people? He didn't do anything good for his own people. Trump did way more, whether you all like him or not. It's just a fact. He did way more for with opportunity zones and in different programs so that people can kind of climb up out of their financial situation. Yeah, so no, thank you for bringing that up. I didn't know that it had a name. That's very interesting. Like I said, Obamas were the first people that came to mind, right? I mean, is that a does that is that would you say so, right? Obamas? You want to crash an Italian Christmas dinner. It's good. It's really good. Maybe you should make your own Italian Christmas dinner, whether you're Italian or not. Just have your own feast of the fishes. I have to say, I like the big celebration being on Christmas Eve. It's so much fun. What we could do is enjoy their music and movies without allowing the rituals to control us. Satanists strive to instill fear in the people. It gives them the sense that they're in control. You know what? That's why. I guess that's why we always say use discernment. And I'm sure it's way better to stay away from all this. That the people who avoid a lot of this mass media are a lot better off. But if you do want to consume it, I think it's good to have discernment and to be aware so that like the tricks that they're trying to do, what they're trying to do to you. Attributed to why some celebrities say certain things without repercussions. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Now I understand. Um okay, the connection. So that's why they can say certain things. Interesting. Sorry, now I'm just pondering who's been on Alive and who isn't, which of those celebrities when they reveal certain things and when they don't. Huh. I'm telling you, like, have you all seen Coolio's live stream before he died? It was pretty clear what he was saying. The elitists create division in our American citizens. Yeah, it's like they thrive off division. And yes, it's to help them achieve their means of whatever oppression that they want to do. But you also wonder, is it also another form of magic? Like a chaos type magic that's causing chaos somehow. The more chaos you cause, the more entropy kind of empower the powers of darkness that they're in touch with. Am I seeing the ball drop, by the way? Well, definitely not in person. We watch from home here. I think the only people that actually go and see it in Times Square. If you're asking me about if we see it in Times Square, I think that's usually tourists, people that aren't from here. I don't know people from here who go to Times Square because you have to be locked in there all day. Once you're in, you can't leave. They won't even let you out to go to the bathroom, and you have to be there like early in the day. I'm like, nothing looks appealing about that. Yeah, no, I agree. That was cool. I never had heard that term before. Yeah, divided and working, conquering us. And look how divided we are today. I mean, it's like you have the culture war, people of different beliefs and everything, and our cultures divided against each other. And then you have like class warfare happening, and then you have now the races turning on each other, and it's all intentional because I guess if they can get us all fighting with each other, they can do whatever they want without repercussions because we're all distracted. Besides, look at all the positives in movies as well, little hints here and there. I mean, yeah, like, I'm with you. Like, it's hard the idea of giving up my X-Files. Look at all the cool stuff we learned about it, you know? Like, when I was a kid, um, I had this cap gun, this toy cap gun. It was a really nice one. It was a metal one. And I used to pretend I was, X-Files. I used to pretend I was Agent Scully. I've always liked the X-Files. So yeah, interesting. It's interesting. A lot to think about. A lot to talk about. I see Rags. I hope I didn't offend you with my not being into archaics, but I appreciate you. You sharing how you feel and your thoughts with us. Do you think that there can be benevolent occultists or just wickedness? No, I think if they're going to be benevolent, first of all, I think first of all, they even if they're doing it truthfully, they're lying to themselves. If you do see benevolent occultists, they're lying to themselves. Maybe they're doing some good. Okay, yeah, like think about a lot of these philanthropists, right? Like, what is it? Was Rockefeller a big philanthropist? Was Carnegie? I don't know much about Carnegie, but I did see his grave, and he's got all his servants buried around him. And when at the tour of it at Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, they're like, look how kind and generous he was. He didn't build himself like a massive monument to himself. He gave away his money, and he paid for every single one of his servants to be buried here. And look how kind and benevolent that was. I'm like, okay, cool. Took it at face value. I don't know much about this guy. I don't know if he was an occultist or not. No clue. I still don't know. I haven't looked into him. But then my dad pointed something interesting out. He's like the Egyptians, right? Like the Egyptians used to get buried with like whatever stuff, their artifacts, whatever they wanted to bring into the afterlife. I'm like, he's like, was this his version? Okay, they might not have all died at the same time, but like symbolically, he's buried around his possessions, his servants. Like it's very strange when you think about it. So I wonder if these yeah, how many of these big philanthropists are actually cultists? So maybe they're like benevolent on the outside, but their intentions are bad. So if they don't think their intentions are bad, they're deceiving themselves. But anytime you mess with darkness, it's going to be wickedness. There's no redeeming it. It's just, yeah, it is what it is. Love that you deep dive with these subjects. I guess I just how my brain thinks this is more interesting than like thinking about other things, I guess. No, that's just how I've been my whole life, just been into that type of stuff. But thank you. So the Obamas for sure. Boule. Ah, okay, Boule. Oh, so it's Greek. I was wondering, I'm like, this sounds like New Orleans, something in New Orleans. Okay. Advisors to the King, founded in the USA in 1904, Black fraternity Sigma Pi Phi, the first of the Divine Nine Black frats and sororities on the HCBU campuses. Oh, okay. So it's just like those it's so like how some of those other Ivy Leagues have those secret societies and frats, like what is it, Skull and Bones and everything. What is that, Yale or Harvard? So these are connected to so the HCBU campuses, they weren't doing Skull and Bones. They had their own version of it. Okay, and it's connected to the Boule. This is interesting. I didn't know about all this because like I just assumed that most of this stuff was general and that, whatever secret societies and fraternities and stuff, that it was like universal. So if Skull and Bones was here, then it was kind of just everywhere at all these colleges. But it didn't occur to me that they were it makes sense, different things going on. But yeah, oh my gosh, like I can't with the Obamas. Talk about elitists that just want to like suppress everything and then get put up on a pedestal. And also, side note, they're producing on Netflix, the Obamas, they're producing the Betty and Barney Hill story. I'm like, why are the Obamas producing a UFO story? Does this have to do with disclosure and Project Bluebeam and whatever psyops are coming up? Why do they have their hands? Yeah, why are they producing in general? It's like, yeah, just like Harry and Meghan. Like, why are they producing? What are these non-entertainment people doing with their hands in this? And the fact that they're doing the Betty and Barney Hill story. And I'm sure they just want that, it'll be presented, well, the Obamas have an interest in this because look, this is they'll maybe try to make it a race thing and say like, oh, we want to promote their story. And I'm like, no, let's move aside the race. Let's move aside the fact that Betty and Barney Hill were a mixed race couple. I don't think you're trying to, the Obamas are trying to promote that story. No, they're trying to push this UFO narrative for some reason. Again, it's like they're priming us for something. Have you guys seen these videos of all this stuff in the sky? I mean, yes, this stuff has always existed throughout history, but it's like I feel like it's ramped up lately. Constant stuff in the sky. They're preparing us. They're priming us for whatever way they want to do it. Oh, alien invasion. We got to be locked down again. Oh no. Oh, look. These are actually saviors. Oh, look, the aliens. Go worship the aliens. So it's like I don't know. Everything's out to get us. Obama's and Big Mike divided the people more than any other. Who's Big Mike? Mike. That sounds familiar. Big Mike. But definitely, we were, I think, already kind of divided in certain ways, but not that bad. And then forget it. Obama came in, and it was like it was the rules for radicals playbook, and just completely dividing the entire country. Because look where we're at now. This is like was put into play then, And it's like, oh, Ashley, why are you talking about the Democrats too? No. Both sides are guilty of this. They're all two sides of the same coin. Yes. Thank you, John. As always, coming in with the good stuff. And I'm sorry, I always seem like a little slow because like this stuff is new to me. I'm trying to digest it. It's really cool. So Boule includes Black American Freemasonry called Prince Hall Freemasonry. Sigma Pi Phi is modeled after Skull and Bones. So that's interesting. I didn't know it was like parallel secret societies happening in the HCBUs and the other colleges. I would have assumed it was overreaching, but no. Okay, interesting. So this is Prince Hall, and then oh wait. So, oh no, sorry. So Black American Freemasonry is called Prince Hall Freemasonry, and then Sigma Pi Phi is modeled after Skull and Bones. And here's my question: But why parallel things? Okay, I understand the different college campuses, but why do Black Americans, Freemasons have a different society than the white Freemasons? And now that you say that, it's interesting. 'Cause when I do see Freemason pictures, they're always white people. So why, like, are the Freemasons racist that they have to divide into two different groups, or is there some purpose in dividing into two different types of Freemasons, Black Freemasons and white Freemasons, which is actually interesting if they're separate, because the checkered floor is a symbol of Freemasonry. Like, the black and white checkered, like linoleum type floor. Sometimes you see that a lot in media, a lot in music videos and stuff. And it's like, oh no, people want to pretend, no, it's just a stylistic choice. I'm sorry, that's not really a trendy look. So it's pretty intentional to put that checkerboard pattern there. What about Mark Passio, ex-occultist? There are others I can't recall at the moment who expose the demons. Oh, I'm not familiar. I've never heard of Mark Passio. Oh, now I got it. Oh, okay. I gotcha. I don't know what to make of that, but there's a lot of things about this family does not make sense. So historically, secret societies require recorded homosexual acts of initiation to use on members for future reference if needed. Interesting, because also Revenge of the Nerds, wasn't there recorded bestiality acts? So I'm like, is that like kind of like the idea of like, I don't want to say predictive programming, but giving us like kind of a taste of what the things are in what's it called? In the kind of parallel. Yeah, telling us the story of what actually happens. That's interesting. So there you go. Leverage is always something that they have on people. And I think also the threat of death must also be a common leverage that's used too, right? Big Mike is oh gosh. I can't believe I forgot that. It sounded so familiar. I'm like, Big Mike, Big Mike. I've heard that term before. My brain, it just slipped out of my brain. Yeah. Hey, Andrew Kennedy. Long time no see. People demanded the gods put on a show to win the faith of the people. However, the truth is that the people must prove their faith to the gods first for a chance to be saved. Now, when you say the gods, is this a metaphor for something? Is it kind of like So wait, hold on. People demand that the gods put on a show to win the faith of the people. However, the truth is that the people must prove their faith to the gods first for a chance to be saved. Okay, curious if this is a metaphor or this is something else. I'm sorry, I'm really tired, so my brain might just not be processing very well. Prince Hall, who was a Black American in the 1700s, was rejected from Freemasonry, white ruled, because he was Black. So he appealed to the Masonic lodges in France to start Black Freemasonry in the USA. Okay, so it's just historically that way. Okay, so I wasn't sure if it had some sort of also occultic symbolism too. Interesting. It's interesting that this stuff is in France, because man, when you look at that European stuff, yeah, a lot of dark history happening in Europe. No, I've heard some things here and there, but I haven't looked too much into it. I've had a lot going on these past couple of months. But I see some tidbits on Twitter, and it just kind of like, some stuff seems so extreme that it just seems fake. It's really insane. It's meant to identify a general perception of gods. Oh, okay, thank you. I'm sorry I was being a little dense tonight. Yeah. I don't know why, man. I'm so tired today for no reason. Um, but have you noticed, is everybody just like exhausted all the time? It's like, are they doing something to us? It was well, I mean, it's certainly our food supply is not the same. There's a lot of talk about changing the genetic structure, and I don't mean just in a GMO way, of of meats and also vegetables. I mean, so you wonder, it's like constant. They're just trying to get us in any way that we can so we can't escape. So go to your local farm share. Go directly to the farms, man, because soon you're not going to be able to trust anything that's in the store. But I'm like, is this making people tired? Is this changing things? It was interesting because the person I was talking to on the phone today, she's like, food just don't taste the same anymore. And I've heard people saying that, and it's not just the fact that food doesn't have the same nutrient content. I feel like there's more to the story. I mean, yeah, there's also the GMO factor. Like when you try things from Europe, um, it tastes better than the stuff in the United States, just better quality stuff. But when I also go to the farm, when I go to farms upstate, it always tastes way better than anything you get in the store. Even like organic stuff you get in the store. Already the organic stuff is a step up, but then the stuff from the farm is even further a step up. Local farm. Freemasonry is all over the world. The biggest occult club, your biggest celebrities who show one eye and the diamond hand gestures are in it on some way. Oh gosh. Speaking of the diamond hand gestures, is it Mitch McConnell or I forget who they're all the same to me. All these people in Congress, but there was one of the Republicans who were like, he was signaling with the this video going around. He was signaling with the hand triangle to somebody who was speaking. Why do I feel like it was Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell? I'm not entirely sure. And the guy looks back, and the guy is doing the triangle thing, and then he turns back, and the guy stops doing the triangle thing. It's like it reminded me of like the baseball game when they like do all the hand signals or whatever. But it's like they're just doing that in our government stuff with each other. I don't know, telling each other what to do. Or is it telling each other what to do, or is it activating some sort of program that was already in there? It really makes you wonder, man. Did I click the wrong thing? Okay. Do I cook a lot? What's the best Ashley Ash dish? I do not cook a lot because here's the thing. I come from an Italian family. My mother and her family are from Italy. So I have had the privilege of always having incredible food being made for me. Even when I was a teacher, my grandparents lived near the school that I would work at. So I would take my lunches there with them and have a home cooked Italian meal by grandma. They also weighed a little bit more back then. So yeah, with all that good Italian food. So no, I don't, but I did bake a pie the other week. It was a depression pie. It was interesting to kind of experiment with pies and see like how people made pies and made do in times of scarcity. And it was really good. I would look up it was a vinegar pie. Look up making a vinegar pie. It's way better than it sounds. Ooh, I would eat more of that if I could. If I could, but the scale won't like that. Yes, they're doing stuff to us. Not only are they attacking our food, I believe they're screwing with the time. Today felt like 2 hours. Yesterday felt like 2 weeks. I feel like they're screwing with our body clocks, our internal clocks. I used to be a night owl, and through these past 2.5 years, that has just like left me. And I don't think it's, like, okay, you get a few years older and your preferences change. No, I think it was like my friend brought up the idea that lockdown was a potential body clock reset to accomplish whatever purposes they wanted to. When everything was shut down early, you weren't doing the same things. You weren't staying out and hanging out with people, and that it was an intentional thing to reset your body clock. Because I guess, the Agenda 21, let's save power, let's have people go to sleep earlier and this and that and save the world. Actually, it reminds me of Glenn Beck's book, Agenda 21, where the people in it would have to wake up at sunrise and go to sleep at sunset because you shouldn't consume any more energy than you need to, because we worship the earth and everything in it. Pretty good book. I mean, okay, it's not the most amazingly written book, but but cool story. It's kind of like a blend of Hunger Games and a bunch of other post-apocalyptic fiction. Um, it's already in the water supply in the rice. You can't hide it because it's a long game. Eat up or just wait, and they'll breed it into every single one of our grandchildren. Actually, they would say certain environmental things cannot make it into the next generation, cannot make it into your genes, into your sex cells to be able to pass into the next generation. But they're starting to see that there are certain things now that are starting to pass along. And I think that's 100% intentional. And talk about the water supply, man. Our water supply, you should not be drinking tap water. And I know people like to say, oh no, if you're in America, you have good tap water. No, that's silly not to drink it. New York has the best tap water in the world. Yes, our tap water does taste wonderful here, but there's just so much garbage in it. So you shouldn't really be putting that chlorine in your body. The fluoride is a neurotoxin, and it does not have any type of effect on your teeth when you have it in water. Yes, fluoride does have an effect when you use it other ways, but not when you're drinking it. When you're drinking it, it's a neurotoxin. It calcifies your pineal gland. So yeah, they're trying to they're definitely screwing around with our water supply. But this is what's interesting. I got lazy because we were having a water filter issue, and instead of me trying to fix it, I just started drinking tons of tap water for almost a year, and I had gained. So right now I'm 10 pounds over where I usually am at, and I cannot make it go away. It won't. I've been having a lot of trouble shifting it. And what's interesting was um I spent a year drinking this tap water, and that happened around the same time that I had trouble with these 10 pounds. And they say that water has obesogens in it. Our water in America, things that kind of promote obesity. And it really makes you wonder, what the heck did I just poison myself with? It probably has to detox out of my body that screwed around with my weight. Because I am telling you, I can pinpoint when it happened and when I was drinking water. So I mean, what kind of water I was drinking. So now I have gone to and I know it's not ideal, but at least it's better than it's better than some other alternatives. When I say it's not ideal, it's a good one, but I know that there's better ways. But right now, that's what is easiest for me. I've started drinking zero water, and it tests pretty well. Have I visited Italy? Looks gorgeous. No, I've never had the opportunity to travel out of the United States yet, but I would love to. See, that's one of the things that really that bother me. I'm not saying what you're saying bothers me, but you ever see those people who are like, "Oh no, you're ignorant if you haven't traveled." People that don't want to, that don't travel, it's because they don't want to, because they're ignorant. They don't want to expose themselves to other countries, or oh, you can never expand your mind if you don't travel outside of your country. And that always makes me crazy when people say that, because people could look at me and say that about me because I've never traveled outside of the US. But I'm like, not everybody has that opportunity. It's just for one reason or another, I haven't been able to. But I would love to. That would be a dream for me. So it's kind of it's a weird thing to insinuate. I don't know. Would you guys call me ignorant? I don't consider myself ignorant. I like to learn. Just because I haven't been able to travel outside of the country doesn't mean that I'm not learning about different things and reading books and learning about all different cultures anyway. So it's just wild when I think about that. And listen, I know, Mr. Okel, that you're not saying that about me. It just, when you asked, it reminded me of some people that I know say stuff like that and act like that, and it makes me nuts. I'm like, you know what? That's a thing of privilege to be able to travel all over the world. Not everybody can do that. But maybe someday. Yeah, no, always filter your water. Yep, I got lazy, and apparently I'm paying for it weight wise. And good tap, yeah. Well, that, like, it tastes very good. The New York tap water, and that's because it's coming from a we upstate reservoirs. So it's good water. It's just probably being poisoned by our, the people that control the water supply, and then all the old nasty pipes and infrastructure. New York actually just passed this thing where they're like, it was this vote where they were like, and they kept sending you stuff in the mail. Oh, look at our terrible water infrastructure. Vote yes, and then and so we can fix it, and it will not change your taxes because they like wanted to use some sort of bonds in order to change our water infrastructure. And I voted no because I'm like, you're already poisoning our water supply and trying to make us ill. Why would I vote yes? So that you can just more easily have access to poisoning it by putting new facilities in there. Absolutely not. Not that I really believe in voting, but I vote, just in case it has an effect on the local stuff. Drink lemon water. I don't know. Isn't that a myth though with the lemons and the water? I don't know. Fiji water. I do like that water that comes from these cool places and, like Iceland and water and stuff. Like here's like some Icelandic water. But here's the terrible thing. This plastic, it all has microplastics in it. And it's like the water sits and the plastic degrades, so you end up drinking microplastics. So that's the terrible thing about having to buy water. This I was just out and about and I needed something. But even this, like at Starbucks, they're supposed to brew the hot espresso into glass. And I sometimes see them do that. But then sometimes I will be in there and they will brew that straight into this plastic cup. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's so freaking toxic, putting the plastic in you. And I shouldn't. I shouldn't be drinking that. It's just unfortunately all that caffeine helps make my brain a little clearer. Which yes, I know is a sign of ADHD, but I'm going to stay in denial of that. Not in denial, acceptance, but not caring about it. You drink zero water and add salt and baking soda to remineralize that. Yes, I love that. Good way to remineralize. I would just make sure it's not sea salt because now a lot of sea salt, because the way the ocean is, contains microplastics. But yeah, so important to remineralize that. What is another way to? I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, I mean, if you go to the health food store and buy some stuff, they have special remineralizing products. But yeah, it's just as simple as like you're saying, salt, baking soda. Just does baking soda have a little aluminum in it? So it would be, baking powder does, which I think comes from baking soda. So I would just be careful with the baking soda to make sure that you're not taking in too much aluminum. Reading about the angel of Ezekiel's vision, who was comprised of many eyes all over, and appeared as multifaceted wheels, and were under God's throne, and had the spirit of the cherubim in them. Yeah, I was reading about that lately too, and because I heard this idea that it was this idea that what if some of the UFOs you see, because there are some UFOs that present this way. And again, maybe they're just making a mockery of the things of God, and that's why they're presenting this way. But some people are like, well, what if they are a an actual entity in and of itself instead of a nuts and bolts craft? And some of them, not all of them, and that they are these that have fallen. To earth. So I thought that was an interesting perspective. But for the most part, I take the perspective of nuts and bolts technology. And I think L.A. Marzulli talks about that same thing, that he's of that perspective too. Oh, you've got a Berkey water filter. Best one I found. That's a good one. And I hear that there are certain Berkey filters that will take out the fluoride. So no, Berkey's great. I needed a low cost solution, but I've heard that yeah, if you can afford the Berkey to go for it. Everyone I know who has one seems to really like it. Fiji water did the best in an independent study. Okay. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, I'm sure the water's good. It's just that like I wish they put this stuff in glass. Though I usually end up dropping the glass. It's funny. I won't like drop a glass in the house or a mug, but I guess stuff falls out of my bag. So it's like I get annoyed when I buy vitamins and when it's in a plastic bottle, but yet sometimes I'll buy a glass bottle and I'll drop it for vitamins. Same thing with the water. I don't like plastic, but then I've broken, those I had a really wonderful glass water bottle that had silicone on the outside. Of course, I managed to break the part that didn't have the silicone on it. I'm still sad about that. Yeah, distilled water is the only way to know there's nothing in it. Distilled yourself only. Only way to be sure, not store-bought distilled. Yeah, because store-bought distilled, yeah, you don't know how well it's distilled, and also it has the plastic in it. No, I do love the concept of distillation. It was just unfortunately right now for my family's needs. It just the ones that we looked at um, didn't do enough fast enough for us. So, but I'm sure someday I will get into the distilled thing. Um, so as they were close to them under God's throne as his escorts and guards. Sermon tomorrow, Ezekiel 1:15 through 21, mind boggling. I know. It was so cool to read about that. Wait, so you're doing a sermon on this? So you're prepping for your sermon? Man, don't we all want to just be in your congregation? Like, a pastor who has your view of the supernatural. I mean, that's pretty cool. Nope, haven't been to Italy, haven't been to Canada, haven't been to Mexico. Though I've been a lot of cool places on the East Coast. I have, so at least I've seen some cool stuff in our country and in my region. Um, Pure water doesn't taste. You're tasting impurities, just saying. What do you think tastes better? Which do you think tastes better? Wait. Mm. Wait, did I talk about water having a taste? Oh, but the tap water. Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, because tap water is going to be impure, but at least our tap water tastes a little better than it does in some other regions. But let me tell you, the most amazing water that I've had out of a tap came from Plymouth, Massachusetts. My friends had rented a house and I was drinking the tap water there. This was years ago. And I couldn't get over how good it was. And I commented, they're like, no, the tap water in this town actually comes from underground springs. So that was cool. You know what's also cool? Saratoga Springs, like those fountains that are just putting out the water from the actual springs that you can drink. It smells like sulfur. It tastes sulfuric. But what amazes me is that it comes out so freaking cold. It was so cool. Yeah, so fluoride is killing our third eye deal, which makes us to have intelligence and intuition. We were not created to be sheep or slave to the elite, but yet they figured out how to block that. And there are ways to decalcify it. So just because we, might have that buildup, that calcification on it, there I forget what it is, but there are things. I think doesn't fulvic acid, doesn't that help to decalcify it? The fulvic minerals. There's a lot of things you could do that. Yeah, and then true. Tap water puts tap water ice in with a microplastic soy latte, so you get your daily dose of fluoride and chlorine. No, I am with you. It's not a good thing. I don't do this every day. But yeah. Oh gosh, and the soy. I don't do soy. I do almond milk in here. But not that that's great either, because almond milk can be inflammatory, and they do put some sugar in this almond milk, but yeah, but no, it's not good. It's just, I feel like I'm always on the run. So but my mom's been telling me, she's like, use your grandmother's mocha. And so that's what the Italian, espresso stove thing is called, and make your own. And I need to do that. Yeah, because this is what I like. It's a shaken espresso. It's 4 shots of espresso with almond milk. I need to take my grandmother's mocha, do my 4 shots of espresso, and then use the hemp milk that I like that's pretty clean and non-inflammatory. Trader Joe's hemp milk. Minerals in water are inorganic, not usable to your body. So they need pure water to clean them out. Get your minerals from plants, like where we started in the garden of, yeah. So are you trying to say that we don't need to remineralize our water? Oh yeah, that makes sense. If you're eating a good diet, then you don't have to worry about the remineralization. But isn't it like less about the minerals and more about just the electrolytes, that our body needs, that electrolytes that get pulled from the water? I don't know too much about this. I just know the basics of it. Wonder what well water tastes like. I guess it depends what your well is. I used to volunteer at a sleepaway camp upstate, and it reminded me of the beach. Something about the beach whenever I drank that water. And not that I meant that it was salty like the beach, but maybe like, I don't know, the water in the water fountain at the beaches in Connecticut. Maybe that's well water, but it just reminded me of the beach. It didn't taste like normal water that came out of a tap. What about angels? Their essence, their order, and their ministry. You're sweating bullets. LOL. Oh, cool. Wait, is there a live stream? Can you drop the YouTube link in there? Is the church that you're preaching at live streaming this? This is cool. Like, you know what I mean? We are not a lot of the modern church is not teaching this stuff. Sometimes it's that like that light stuff, like, Joel Osteen inspirational speeches or whatever. There's no meat. So this is so cool. Like, what we all want a pastor that has these views and who teaches on the supernatural like that. So yeah, drop a link if we can watch your church's live stream. You've been listening to Waters Above. What is that, a show? I stayed at the Hawthorne Hotel in Massachusetts near the Great Lake and love their water. I don't know where that is. There's a Great Lake in Massachusetts? But oh yeah, but like the fact that Plymouth, it was pulling from underground springs, I wouldn't be surprised if other places in Massachusetts are pulling from underground springs. Now I'm wondering the Berkshires, what their water is like. I have a friend that lives there. I'll have to ask her. You use 6 coffees a day. No, I really don't. So, yeah, so it's 4 shots in here, and sometimes, like, I find remember, I think I did say in one stream that I find the best way it works for me is if I do the 4 shots in the morning, like on a Saturday stream. I feel like I'm at my best mental level if I do one of these in the morning and then one of these at 6 o'clock. And then, yeah, then my brain, yeah. Yeah. Hemp milk. Yeah, that's what I noticed. There's what is it called? There's something list. Is it Brian's list? I don't know. Joe's list. I can't remember, but there's an app where you can scan things and it'll tell you how dirty or how okay certain food products are, how inflammatory they are, and that actually scanned very well. And when you look at it, it's very clean. The Trader Joe's hemp milk, and I don't think it has any flavors in it, and it's unsweetened, so because you want to stay away from all those natural flavors and stuff. Yeah, it's interesting because people don't really think about, or a lot of people, I mean, we do in this chat, but a lot of people don't consider like the water they're drinking and the effect that it might have on them. And if we're being attacked at every angle from, with the food that we eat and what's in the air and the VOCs in our houses, of course, water's going to be on that list too. It's the easiest way to cause problems for people. So, but yeah. Wait, so John, church link or no? I'm sorry. I don't want to put you on the spot. I don't want to dox you, but now I'm like, we need to hear the sermon. Everybody wants to hear it, but it's all right. I'm sorry. I'll be good. So, we just got a little bump up in I wonder what stream everybody came from. Bump up in the numbers. So to everybody who just came in, we didn't have a specific plan tonight to talk about. So I was like, free game, wild card. We're just going to see where it goes. So we have been talking a little bit about everything. We talked about the founding fathers being occultist, Ben Franklin and his sex magic. We talked about water, the water supply, just, the fact that we're being poisoned at every turn. We talked about Nimrod and the Tower of Babel. We have been all over the place. So to anyone who is new and coming in here, where John Davis's sermon's at. Yeah, I don't know. So, no pressure. Maybe he'll drop us a link in here. If he wants to share it, if he's okay with potentially doxing himself, because I think a lot of people would be into hearing this type of sermon. So anything else on your guys' minds? Let me see if I'm like, okay, no. Sometimes I look down and I sit something near my chair of like something I want to talk about or discuss. And then, but no, I don't have anything today. Let me see my notes. Let me check my notes. My notes only said the Lone Gunman and L.A. Marzulli. So I think but L.A. Marzulli has some interesting books on his website. So I'm trying to decide which one I want for Christmas. So I'm leaning toward there's a set that touches on a bunch of different topics, but one of the books in this set, he, I guess, kind of gives his hypothesis to how the Nephilim survived the flood, why there was still Nephilim after the flood. So which was pretty cool. And it was interesting because he was talking about Golgotha. So that was the that hill or that mountain that Jesus was crucified on. It means, like, I think, place of the skull. So there are people that believe that that was where Goliath's skull was buried, because Nephilim, they say that you can't just kill them because they have the ability to regenerate themselves, that you have to cut off their head so that you prevent that regeneration ability from happening. So when David killed Goliath, he cut off his head, and it's believed that his skull was buried at Golgotha, where Jesus was crucified years later, many years later. So yeah, I guess we're in it for 2 hours. I guess we'll leave it here. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to talk about at the moment. Sorry, I'm just staring at my Unseen Realm book. Oh, but here's another book I put next to me. What book? This book, the Book of Enoch. So this is the companion. If anyone wants to grab it, I think I have it in the description. So I have affiliate links in the description. Just like, because I feel bad. I'm not trying to, like, squeeze every nickel and dime out of people. But the thing is, if people are going to buy off Amazon anyway, if you click through my affiliate link, whether you buy one of those things linked on my affiliate link, or whether you go and buy cat litter, I'll get a percentage. So it's like a cool way of a small commission, a cool way of supporting the channel. Whether you're going to buy something on Amazon or not. If you're buying Christmas gifts and you click through my link, it helps me. But this should be, but also I also put links down there so that people can find the things that we talked about. So I'm pretty sure I have this link down in the description. So this is the Michael Heiser's companion to the Book of Enoch. This is to the Book of the Watchers. So this is volume 1. He has more than one volume. So this covers Enoch chapter 1 through 36. Yeah, I do like that cover too. Really cool. So here is his other book too that we talked about, The Unseen Realm. And I think I also have a link down in the description, or if not in the description, then I have a thread on my Twitter with a bunch of links. And I have a link to where you can watch the documentary of The Unseen Realm for free on YouTube. Otherwise, you just type in it as it is. And he gives free access to that documentary. So I still have not read this yet because I wanted to read the documentary. I'm sorry, I wanted to watch the documentary first. I only got 10 minutes in. So I had a class intensive I was doing for the past couple of months. So now that I'm done, hopefully I'll have a little more free time to do that. And where's the other? Oh yeah, there's this other book that I have that I'm looking forward to reading in the new year. So it's American Cosmic by D.W. Pasulka. And she's actually, I think, a Catholic researcher who decided to look at the connections between UFOs, religion, and technology. And so she did a 6-year ethnographic study. And I think she even said she was in the Vatican archives and doing her research. But she's like, oh no, it's not like how people say it is. It was just regular archives. And I'm like, yeah, that's the section they let you see. but it sounds pretty. It sounds really cool. I listened to her interview on Blurry Creatures, and I had to run out and get the book. So John Davis said there's no link. Okay, so there's no live streaming. It's an older congregation, just old-fashioned CD recording. I can send you CDs if you DM me. Okay, cool. So if you guys go into the last if you go to the live stream that John Davis was in, I have links in there to his social media so that you can reach out and DM him. I'm assuming that you meant that, for everybody, that anyone is allowed to reach out to you. So, and that you weren't directing that toward one person. So if you go and you click into that, then you can DM John. You can find his social media, and and I guess you just share your Venmo, and we'll Venmo you for to cover it, and then you'll send out the CD. That would be pretty awesome. I have to think of where do I have a CD player? Yes, I do have a CD player. Isn't it wild how newer cars don't have CD players in it? Which I guess not a big deal, but it's kind of weird when you buy a car and you're like, oh, CD player's gone. But no, I do have a CD player. Yeah, so cool. Yeah, I'll reach out to you, John. I will Venmo you to cover the cost and the shipping, and I would love to hear it. Unless, are you able to take a CD, convert it to like an MP3 and then share it with us too. And then maybe we can give you a small donation to the congregation in return since we're using their file or whatever, or small or large or whatever people want to give. I think there's a few different ways we might be able to do that. That's cool. I remember growing up in church, they had the cassette recordings. And then there's like a whole cassette archive. I just had that vivid memory. Yeah, same. It's always pretty to see a nice book cover. I don't have a bookshelf, but I'm like, some of this stuff I think will look pretty cool on a bookshelf. Like, let's see the spine of D.W. Pasulka's book. You got the stars and you have the trees there. And oh, wow. Oh, I just noticed something on the back that just jumped out at me. Hold on, I'll read it in a second. I think this looks cool too. Wait, let me aim this toward the camera. Wow. Okay. I just noticed that, where people put their comments. Yeah, I think I bought this used, so it's got a little barcode. Put, their review, their comments about the books. It's interesting because, this is from a religious perspective, and Chad and Carrie Hayes, who are the writers of The Conjuring 1 and 2, are talking about this. They said D.W. Pasulka's book is nothing short of spectacular and intriguing, a mind-blowing read with fascinating insight. Her research and knowledge presents a whole new truth, some of which is very scary, and we don't scare easily. And this is why I think that's significant that the Conjuring writers are on the back of here, or just that I think they're significant, that they're interesting in general. I'm not super into horror. I don't like horror because it could be dark. I don't find it scary, but I really like the Conjuring movies because, first of all, I don't like how it freaks me out. That is one of the few movies that leave me very tense and on the edge of my seat. It was an experience watching it in movies. And then I had seen when recently, a couple years ago, they put The Conjuring 1 back in the movies, and me and my sister were alone, the only people in the theater watching it. But anyway, one of the reasons I really like that movie is because it's based on a true story, and it feels like they're approaching it like legit. That it doesn't seem, it doesn't seem like, it seems like it's going by biblical principles. The movies feel like a warning against messing with darkness, like a warning of the problems that happen with demonic influence and all different things. And it's so weird because I'm watching this movie and you don't see that in horror. I'm like, this is such a Christian bend to it. It's like it's warning people to stay away from it, which is one of the things that Ed and Warren used to do. Yes, they're problematic in certain ways, in terms of some of their views with faith and with the supernatural realm and the spiritual realm. But one of the reasons they would go around and lecture is because they were warning people not to mess with this stuff. So like I like those movies because I'm like, wow, it's really kind of Christian. And then I relatively recently found out, I'm like, oh, the writers are Christian. I'm like, that's wild. Okay. And it also explains why maybe The Conjuring 3 had a different vibe. Is it different people? It seemed different to me. Some of the stuff that was said in The Conjuring 3 didn't seem to jive with some of the stuff in 1 and 2. But anyway, that was the tangent with that. The Nephilim DNA was still in the descendants of Noah. That's how the giants still exist. But this is what throws me off, because wasn't a purge of our DNA? Wasn't that basically what the flood was? So then how was it in their descendants? But also, how can Nephilim DNA be in the descendants? Because if you're Nephilim, you don't have a soul. So I can't imagine that. If you remove that many generations out, can you still have a soul? And would God put soulless people on the ark? So this is what I can't completely understand. I'm trying to wrap my head around. You should concentrate on getting hydration from the food you eat. Your body is over 85% water. You are a water machine. It's paramount to health to be properly hydrated from food. Fruits instead of water is a start. I still think the water kind of moves things along and flushes things along, but I understand what you're saying, because the same applies to animals. Like I had my childhood cats, and they used to eat dry food, and then I had learned that that's not good for their kidneys. They need to be getting water from their food too, that they need to eat wet food. So it's kind of a thing that when you have cats, that they should have wet food to be able to help their kidneys and their body systems. And it's interesting because in line with what you said, okay, we're promoting this idea about cats, but yet we're not promoting it to people. Shouldn't it be the same thing for people? So that's interesting that you say that. I haven't thought too much about that. What's a CD? You're funny. Well, what about a mini disc? You guys remember mini disc? I'll try to convert it. I'll get with the computer guy I know and see how best to do it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, since there's so much interest, I think it would be really cool for you to be able to share your sermons like that. Maybe you can even upload the MP3 to YouTube and then share it that way too, and then reach a wider audience. That would be pretty cool. That's surprising. Conjuring is a dark, dark one. It is, but if you look, it's like it seems pretty accurate in terms of how this stuff attacks people. Like, they weren't making light of it. They were showing it as is. And I think that's pretty interesting, pretty significant, I think. Different than the way it tends to get approached. Yeah. So I'm definitely a fan of those movies, and I think they just announced the fourth movie. So who knows when that'll come about, but it should be interesting. It's interesting because like maybe an hour from here, an hour and a half from here, from where I live, they had their paranormal museum, and they had it in their basement, and then people would just go to their basement and like visit this museum of all these haunted objects because they believe that it was safer for it to be in their possession because they knew how to deal with it than for it to be anywhere else. And that I guess these things were kind of attached. It was like a way of trapping them instead of just like tossing it or burning it and releasing these things out into the world. So I think it's interesting, but I'm like, who would want to go to a museum like that? And it's not that I'm afraid of the objects, but you wonder, it's like, what can potentially attach to you? Like Lorraine Warren would say that like that doll, Annabelle, whatever was attached to her was so evil. She's like, you would see her in certain tours of the museum. She's like, I can't even look at Annabelle. Like, it's too much. So I'm like, I don't know. Was that wise to open a museum and let regular people that might not have, their spiritual armor on, let those people wander that museum? I don't know. Not my cup of tea, but it still exists there. It was shut down because it's not commercially zoned. It's not zoned to be a museum. It was in a residential neighborhood and people complained. So they shut it down, but I'm pretty sure the family still owns it. It's still down there. They still have a priest coming by once a week to bless it. Viewing it as a warning is an interesting perspective. Oh no, it totally felt like a warning to me. So I think it was interesting when I heard that that's basically why Ed and Lorraine Warren used to lecture to warn people away from that. And yeah, because it like, to me, it was a warning, those movies, because it shows, oh no, this isn't what you think it is. Here is the true reality of it. Oh, you like paranormal museums? You're the person that would go into those places. No, I'm like, yeah, not me. You can go, Ricky. I'll stay home. Actually, let me clarify. Before the flood, some call a vapor canopy. People were bigger. Some called titans. Some called giants. So like people of today, most of the human DNA or genome is dormant. Okay, so you're saying, yeah. So it's like that whole thing of genotype versus phenotype. It was actually those parts of the genetics were actually being acted on to make people bigger. So okay, so you're saying that there were some big humans that weren't Nephilim, right? And that it just had to do with whatever was going on. It was affecting different portions of the DNA that weren't dormant. That makes sense. Hey Corey, thanks for popping in. Hope you had a good outing tonight, right? You said you were going out to eat and then you had a stream, so I hope it went well. Thanks for popping in. We're kind of wrapping things up, but we talked about a little of everything tonight, so it's been interesting. Here's an interesting fact: dolphins can't drink salt water. Their bodies operate as if they're in an arid desert environment, and they get 100% of their hydration from their food. Oh, interesting. That makes sense. Yeah. So I would assume that the same thing would be whales too, right? Or yeah, I would think, because if they're filtering the krill and they're blowing everything that's excess out through the blowhole, then I guess they're not drinking that. Yeah, so it's interesting because if we view animals like that, if we say cats need to have wet food for their kidneys to function, why aren't we viewing our own diets like that? An interesting thing about, it was mentioned before, getting your hydration from fruit. They say it's funny because, when they say with weight and taking care of your body, oh, it's not good. It spikes your insulin. You should stay away from fruit because, it messes with your weight. And, maybe women being more weight and health conscious in certain ways, or at least when it comes to weight, avoid fruit. I know I've been a big avoider of fruit for a while. Partially also because I prefer vegetables. I like vegetables. I think they're tastier than fruit. But I avoided for a while because I'm like, oh, I don't want all that sugar. And then I had heard that like women need sugar for hormonal health and that fruit is a good way to get sugar. So I'm like, oh, okay. We were being pushed away from sugar for a reason, apparently. Keep us unhealthy. Yes, we just finished. Glad to be here, even for the tail end. Well, I'm glad you were able to pop in. Fun chat last night on your stream. So to anyone who did not catch that, in my post under the community tab, I posted a link to that. We had a good time talking a little of everything yesterday. Hi, Dingo Wolf. I like that, Dingo Wolf. So a little, two different kind of canines happening. Sam Stolt just tweeted his dinner like an hour ago, food porn. I'll have to go see what he tweeted. Like, what did I eat? I feel like I ate something. Oh yeah, I just had a nice soup. I did. It was good. So, all right, guys, I am fading. I think I'm going to sign off. But thanks for being here tonight. Thank you for hanging out. YouTube didn't censor that. Wait, didn't censor what? Oh yeah, the saying food porn, I guess. Yeah, I don't know, man, with these censors and these algorithm things. But yeah, thanks guys for hanging out. Thanks for being here, even though it wasn't really structured. We kind of talked about a little bit of everything. Thank you guys so much for the wallet donations, the super chats. Thank you to Mr. Okel and Brian for the super chats tonight. They're much appreciated. Thank you so much. And to all those anonymous people in the wallet that I don't know, thank you. I really appreciate it. Truly. I don't just like randomly throw, even though I use the word a lot, I don't randomly throw it around. I really do mean it when I say that. And like I said, those affiliate links are down in there. If you're doing any Christmas shopping, if you click a link, it'll send some commission to me. So yeah, and you don't even have to do any of that. Would love a like, a subscribe, a comment too. And just thank you guys for your presence, for being here, for hanging out, and thank you to anybody watching in the replay, and thank you for tolerating my half asleepness tonight. I'll try to be more awake next week. Yeah. Oh, they both howl at the moon. Do you howl at the moon too? Is that why you're named after both of them? I like that. Oh, you're bad for typing? No, I'm sure it's fine. I'm just teasing. Yeah, these are fun. I like it. I like just chatting back and forth like this. Your dinner was soup and a bottle of wine. Okay, so mine was sans alcohol, just straight up soup. Now, was the bottle of wine in your soup and you're just calling it soup, or was it separate? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just teasing. But Merry Christmas, everyone. Yes, hope everybody's having a wonderful Christmas season. And I will be here next week, so I'm not gonna do the stream next Saturday since it's Christmas Eve, but I will be doing some stuff during the week. We'll continue with some Enoch reading. You have a good night too, Doug. I hope you stay warm up there in Alaska. You must already be in like that dark period in Alaska, right? All the night all day. So I hope you are doing well in that. Yes, please do smash the likes. I would love that. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Ashley. Good night and have a great rest of your weekend. Please have a great Christmas and God bless everyone. Thank you. You too. Half asleep, wonder what a full awake Ash is like. Oh, you've seen me like all acting unhinged and really hyper, right? That's more of a full awake Ashley. But I feel like my eyes are like not open all the way. So that would kind of be asleep me. But yeah, look at me a few weeks ago where I'm like Thanksgiving week, I think was the week I was, all like that. And everybody's like, whoa, Ashley's awake tonight. Happy holidays, Hexkins. Stay safe. Yes, everybody stay safe. Don't drink and drive. Watch out for ice. Wear your seatbelts. I always tell people, wear your seatbelt. You rock, Ash. Merry Christmas. No, you rock. Thank you. And I hope you have a good night's sleep after all that fun in the desert. Sound like you guys had a good time. All right, guys. Thank you again. You have a good night, and I will see you soon. All right. Bye.